Hey, what's up guys? My name is Brand New and welcome to Audio Addiction. If you haven't been to our channel before, we basically do album reviews, we do local band interviews, and as well as we do live episodes every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys like what we do, come visit us on Wednesday nights. Come hang out in the chat, come chat with us, come talk about what you think about certain things that we talk about in the episodes, and we'd love to hear your guys' opinion. It's awesome to hear about, other people who like the same music as us. So if you like this type of music and you like a kind of podcast sort of talk show format, come check out our episodes, and I'll make sure to leave one up here in the little card thing so you can check out what we do. Also, make sure to subscribe and like our videos because we're going to be putting out a ton more new content for the summer. So make sure to come check back with us. We're super excited to put out some new stuff, so hopefully you guys enjoy. And again, I'm getting away from myself, but basically we're going to be talking about Beartooth's new record, Aggressive. So if you haven't heard of Beartooth, they've been around since I think about 2012, and it was after Caleb Shomo left Attack Attack to do other things. And so he created two bands, one being Noise, which eventually became Beartooth, and Class, which is more like EDM style, like Skrillex, Diplo, those sort of artists. So obviously Beartooth took off massively, and so he kind of put Class to the wayside. So I'd be interested to see if he puts out some new stuff with Class, because the last EP that he did was really awesome. But again, we're here to talk about Beartooth, so I kind of got away a little bit. But if you haven't checked out their music, they released their first EP, the Sick EP, with Red Bull, and back in 2013, and they released Disgusting in 2014 on Red Bull again, and they just blew up. So now, we're listening to the new hyped up record, which is Aggressive. So I'm going to kind of break down my thoughts and my opinions on what I think they did awesome on this record and what I feel like they can improve on for the next record. And I've been listening to them for quite a while, so I feel like, I can kind of get an accurate opinion on, about their band. So I'm excited to break it down, and hopefully you guys like what we do. And if you don't, make sure to leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the record, and just to kind of get a different opinion on things. So without further ado, let's break it down. So the first track being called Aggressive, it was their first single that they released off the record, and I will admit to you guys that I really didn't like it initially, and maybe it was just because like I just hadn't listened to them in a while or something, or just that I just didn't like the track or whatever. It just didn't seem to pull me or grab me at all. It just felt like kind of like a Disgusting B-sides album almost, like especially for the first couple tracks on this record, it definitely felt like it. But definitely with Aggressive, and as you could tell, the lyrical background has a lot to do with politics and stuff like that. I'm not saying that I hate politics, but obviously this isn't the time or the place to be talking about that. But I feel like after I've listened to it quite a few times now, it's kind of grown on me. I feel like some of these tracks on this record are definitely growers. Like, I definitely didn't enjoy this track initially when we started, but again, it was a new Beartooth track, so I was, obviously excited for the new record. But as I've been listening to it more and more, and listening to the album as a whole, I feel like a lot of these tracks as singles don't work really well, but as in a collective in the album itself, I feel like the tracks really hit their strides and were able to like pull stuff out of me that I really enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed the intro part of Aggressive, where Caleb's, speaking kind of like a lower, not super, I guess, higher voice. I don't know if that makes sense, but basically I enjoyed his style of vocal at the beginning of the track, and then it really punches in once the guitars come in, and the drums come in, and the bass comes in, and then it really starts to hit you. And the breakdown part was super awesome. Again, I feel like they kind of cut and paste some of the tracks from Disgusting and kind of like put the breakdowns together. But again, I'm being a little nitpicky, but Again, super solid track to start off with. Again, it's very aggressive, and I think it ultimately starts this record off in a good pace. Again, you know, because it's a hardcore metalcore punk feel to it, so you know you can start to feel the energy of the track. So it's definitely a grower. I'm not saying that it was a bad track, but I'm not necessarily saying it's a good track. I just feel like over time, once I start to listen to it a little bit more, it'll start to get more familiar to me. But we'll move on to the second track, which is Hated. This was another single that they released, and I feel like I liked it even more than Aggressive. Again, it was a few months after Aggressive was released, and it just got this nice, like, softer vibe to it. I mean, it's still a very heavy track, but I feel like it's more well received, at least in my book. And I like this track way more than Aggressive, and I feel like it was the best track that they released outside of Always Dead as a single. Just because, like, I feel like Caleb, I don't know if it's necessarily the lyrics, but I feel like he writes catchy tracks. Like, a lot of these choruses are very infectious, and like you start singing them. Like, I'll be at work and I'll be like humming like the chorus parts to these albums. So I mean, definitely you have to commend him on that. He does write some awesome tracks, and if you guys didn't know, he writes all of the instrumentals and obviously the vocals for these albums. So mad props to him for sure for doing that, because that is a really tall order. And I feel like these tracks came out very well. Again, that's obviously why I'm doing a review for him. So I definitely enjoy Hated. It was probably my favorite track that they released off the record for sure. So we'll move on to the third track, which is Loser. I would say this was my least favorite, and that's kind of hard for me to say because it's definitely one of the harder hitting tracks. Lyrically, it suffered. I feel like it just didn't feel like he put a lot of effort into the lyrics. It just didn't really hit me as hard as maybe Hated or Aggressive or something, or another track off the record. But it just really didn't touch me at all. Still a very solid track again, but I would say it's probably one of the weaker tracks off the record, and probably the weakest single for sure. Again, I'll leave all the singles, and hopefully if the album's up, I'll make sure to leave that in the description as well for you guys to check it out and voice your opinions, because I'd love to hear them in the comments section. So again, I'm going to wait for myself, but we'll move on to track number 4, which is Fairweather Friend. And I'd have to say this is one of my favorite tracks off the record for sure. It starts off with this awesome groove track, and it makes you want to move. Like, I feel like a lot of these tracks off the record were meant to be heard in a live setting. Like, I'm not saying that necessarily they were bad in the studio or whatever. I just feel like you would get more out of it if you see it in person. Like, some albums translate very well to CD, and I feel like some albums don't. And I'm not saying that this album is bad. I'm just feeling, just listening to it a few times over, I just feel like that this album will do much better once it's in a live setting. So I'm super excited to hear new tracks from them. But getting back to Fairweather Friend, again, the lyrics are a little bit childish. I don't know if it's necessarily one of my favorite lyrical tracks. Like, I Have a Problem off the last record, the In Between. Like, a lot of those songs were, I mean, they're not strong lyrical tracks, but I feel like they hit home for me. And, I mean, Fairweather Friend was great, but I feel like the instrumentals really shine on this track as opposed to any of the other tracks off the record. So we'll move on to track number 5, which is Burnout. Again, with the lyrics, I just feel like they're rehearsed, rehashed, retold, however you want to phrase it. It's not that these tracks were bad, it's just, it feels like it's, how many times can you talk about being this? How many times can you talk about being aggravated? How many times can you know what I mean? I just feel like he's not putting as a lot of effort into, like, some of the tracks, like Sick and Disgusting off the last record, or Set Myself on Fire. I don't remember the exact name of the track from the Sick EP, but like some of those tracks have like harder hitting messages, and I feel like as the albums have progressed, I feel like his lyrical content has kind of suffered, and I'm not saying that he can't improve. For me, it just feels like they're a little bit lacking in that department. But again, I don't really come here for as much of the lyrics. I come for really the instrumental sound, and I feel like a lot of these tracks have nailed that. Sick of Me is a 6th track, and this one was also a good one. I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed that I believe it's more of a singer track, and well, tracks that have more singing in it, excuse me, but I really enjoyed this track as well. I mean, I can't say anything necessarily bad about the tracks. Again, I feel like lyrical strength wasn't his strong suit in this record per se, but again, I feel like it's more of the emotion that comes out. So also, just an awesome track. Definitely one of my growers, one of my favorite tracks off this record. And we'll move on to track number 7, which is also another one of my favorites off the record as well. I know a lot of people don't like the lyrical content. Again, I feel like I just keep saying that, but it is a reoccurring thing. But it's just about being censored. Like, you don't want to be censored. Like, you don't want people to like say like you shouldn't say that. Like, he feels like you should say how you want to say it, and that it shouldn't be misinterpreted or explained to somebody. Like, I feel like it should be cut. He feels like it should be cut and dry, and that's how it should be. And there are on some occasions where I feel like that's necessary, but just definitely instrumentally, these tracks are really solid. Again, not saying that they're bad lyrically. I just feel like I've gotten more out of Disgusting lyrically than I have out of Disgusting. But again, if you have differences, make sure to leave them in the comments. So we'll move down to track number 8, which is Always Dead. Again, this was one of their singles, and this one's a hard hitter. I think it was Taylor on Twitter said that this was a follow-up to Dead off of Disgusting, and you can definitely tell that vibe by, the riffs on the track, as well as just like that fast, hardcore punk, feel to it. Definitely a track, if you go to the gym and you work out, it's one of those tracks that, you want to put on your playlist because it's just such a hard hitter. And I love the breakdown. Such a great, again, when you're listening to it, it just gets you super pumped. So that's what I've always enjoyed about Beartooth, is that all of their tracks make you want to just move and get excited and stuff. So hopefully they come around to the Philly area so we can go see them and stuff like that. But again, I'm getting away from myself. But another solid track off the record. Probably one of my favorites and one of the heavier tracks off the record. So we'll move on to track number 9. And that one is However You Said It. I feel like the second half of this record really got awesome. Like Always Dead, Censored, Sick of Me. Those tracks, all did very well, and I feel like the tracks that followed really added to it. Like the second half of the album is like the downhill climb, but I feel like they really stepped it up, and it feels more natural, more like it moving in a different direction. However You Want It Said is also another one of my favorite tracks. Great track, heavy track, brutal track, however you want to call it. Definitely give that one a listen because it's one of my favorites off the record. We'll move on to track number 10, which is Find a Way. Also another one of my favorite tracks. I think it's probably my most favorite out of the favorite tracks that I mentioned off the record. It just got that awesome vibe to it. It's got an awesome like guitar, drum, obviously instrumental. Caleb does an awesome job, and just like the composing of the track just was awesome, and it makes you feel good and stuff. So that's always an awesome thing, and just I feel like it's a proper mix of heavy and clean singing and stuff like that. And I've always enjoyed Caleb's clean voice. I think I've enjoyed his clean voice even more than his screams. So that's exciting. So we'll move on to track number 11, which is Rock is Dead. And this kind of has a very punk feel to it. It definitely will take you by surprise. Like, it does have that hardcore feel to it, like towards the end, especially once you get to the breakdown part. Beautiful breakdown again, but The track itself is very punkish. It just feels like a punk track, and you know, Rock is Dead seems like a kind of a cliche thing. Like he's talking about like, you know, like if Rock's dead, like, you know, kill me now kind of a thing. So like, um, I don't think Rock will ever die out. That's just my personal opinion. But again, kind of getting away from it. But awesome track. If you like punk, you'll definitely love this track. It's one of the, I wouldn't say stranger tracks. It's one of the different tracks, and I feel like it's a nice gem in the mix of, you know, heavier hardcore metalcore tracks. So definitely good on him for making like a different track. Again, solid work on this one. And the last track off the record to round it out is King of Anything, and it kind of feels in the same vein as Sick and Disgusting did, but maybe in a lighter tone. And it's just basically talking that he's not a king of anything. Like he shouldn't be praised, he shouldn't be worshipped for doing any of those, you know, admitting that he had an alcohol problem, admitting all the stuff that he said on the last record. Just, you know, do your thing. Like, you're the one who grew out of it. You're the one who, like, was strong enough to pull yourself out of that situation. So he feels like he shouldn't have to take the, I guess, the respect and admiration of his fans, because he didn't really do it. You're the ones who had the willpower to do it. So another solid track, and I feel like it's a great way to end the album off. Again, what I liked about the record is that it's very true to Beartooth roots. Again, some people say it feels like a Disgusting Part 2. And I personally feel like it's not a Disgusting Part 2. Like, there are tracks on there that harken back to the Disgusting album as well as the Sick EP, but I also feel like there are other tracks that kind of push them into a different direction, and hopefully, you know, they'll learn from this album and they'll make a really awesome album for the next time. But I'm excited to hear it. I'm not necessarily saying that it's better than Disgusting. I thoroughly enjoyed Disgusting, and I jammed it for quite a long time. But, again, it's not a bad record. I don't know why people think that is a really bad record, even if it doesn't sound like... It sounds like a subpar version of Disgusting. I just feel like this record was solid. Again, just give it a spin. And some of the things that I really disliked on this record was just the lyrical content. I just feel like it wasn't nearly as strong and gripping as like some of the tracks off of Disgusting. Like I mentioned, Sick and Disgusting, I Have a Problem, Beaten and Limp, just like some of those tracks. Again, they make me feel stuff emotionally, and I feel like this record had some tracks that were like that, but I feel like, again, when you're playing that type of music, I feel like, you know, emotions really help affect whether an album's going to be great or not. And I'm not saying I didn't feel things on this record. I'm just saying I felt less than I did on Disgusting. So, would I say listen to the record? I mean, yes, I would. I definitely feel like they have found that portion where, you know, they want to do Beartooth stuff, like the classic Beartooth that you know and love, but they're also trying to do newer things on the record, even though they might kind of sound similar. I just feel like they're trying to, you know, do new things and evolve and grow and stuff like that with tracks like, you know, just like newer tracks, again, with like Hated, Fairweather Friend, However You Said It, Find a Way, Rock is Dead. Definitely Rock is Dead. They definitely tried something different on this record, and it's different. Again, anybody can take it differently. I just feel like this record was really solid, and you guys should give it a listen. So, just let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think I did a good job explaining the record? Do you feel like I missed on some things? And just let me know, because I honestly would love to know the feedback that you guys can give me on this record. And I mean, I would give it maybe a 7 out of 10. I mean, it's not my favorite record by them, but it's by no means a bad record. I just feel like everybody should give at least new records one or two spins to really get a feel for the tracks. Like, honestly, listen. Like, put your headphones on, really listen to these tracks, because initially you might not get something, but you know, if you listen to it more times, obviously the more you get out of it. So again, I'm going to be rotating this through my week this week, and we'll see how well, you know, I'll give you guys an update on what I think, if it, you know, went up, or if I felt like, you know, it disappointed me a little bit less. But again, thank you guys for checking out our video. Make sure you hit the subscribe and like. Again, it helps our channel out immensely. And hopefully, you know, you guys enjoyed my review of Beartooth's Aggressive. And also, if you have any other reviews that you would like me to do, make sure to leave them in a comment. I'll make sure to get around to it for sure. So, again, make sure to check out our channel, please. It would be awesome of you guys. I can't thank you enough for checking out our video, and I hope you have a great day, guys. Alright, talk to you later.